was interesting. While I was waiting for things to load and everything like that, they recommended a video, like I said on the last one, from robots made in Japan, and robotic factories and things like that. I'm sitting there watching it and flying cars and things and stuff like that. Things we don't need, right? That it's not necessary. That we have ways to get around. We got to make sure that when we're moving, that we're doing it for the right reasons and we're doing it intelligently, right? But I saw the thing about Isaac Asimov and watching it going, okay, this is where all of Asimov's acute paranoia from robotics comes into play in a perception of a future that he was seeing that was even more so than an actual digital image and projection. Because in the Isaac Asimov expressions, it's a lot like these video ads and things with the Chinese robotics and stuff. Something they've done for a long time. When they made the clay soldiers to protect. So this is not a new phenomenon with Chinese group activity and expression. This is something that you get together in a large group, you dress up, synchronicity, things like that. As one movement, when you're moving as one movement, you have to realize that what you're doing is correct. And when it is correct, that one movement, like everybody, the Lord's Prayer is perfect, will then move in that, move in accordance to that need, right? And so when you do that, then boom, you're doing things right. You're making snaps like a button. So he who is hurried cannot write gracefully. So in order to walk gracefully, one has to understand the importance of the steps that are being made and why you are stepping, why you're walking, right? And so when you make your steps through life from cradle to grave, you have to understand that your steps have purpose. So he who is hurried cannot walk gracefully. Right? So in order to move in, I walk in beauty. I put my pollens in the four directions. I move in beauty. I walk in beauty. You got to understand that gracefulness and beauty, okay, helps us understand the purpose of our existence better, right? Yeah. So it's something that's very important. Don't let it get lost in the delusions of your own perception of invention of grandeur, and be part of the eternal beauty of your precious gift of existence. Right? I did chair exercises and then sat and ate. I didn't eat a lot of chips, but as soon as you do exercises, you want to eat, and I'm like, okay, that's something I'm gonna have to work with. That's something I have to work with as I'm doing my chair exercises to get the body back to. I have been shooting baskets. Had a couple days off and stuff, and so it's like, hey, and he's like, just focus on the chair. We'll do more of that. We'll do it like 2 or 3 times a day. We'll stay in the chair. You're still going out and getting your sun. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll soak in the tub, and okay, we'll do what we got to do. We'll get by, and we'll do this. Survive, stop, eliminate, abuse, recover. We'll get to share, care, give, and of course, need built to last. And so thanks, Mr. Moto. We'll get. I love him so much, man. I like having the eternal connections to the line of Sun Yat-sen and the line of Ditiro Suzuki. It's a special privilege. It's earned. I've earned it. It's a special gift of friendship that I earned for being the light and the way of immaculate faith through my family, and then recognize my family, in other parts of the world that are given life by the glory of God also, and that reflect that respect. He who walks Who is hurried cannot walk gracefully. So I'm understanding this. Don't race for your life, Charlie Brown, which was kind of an interesting little movie. But I haven't seen it in years. I wonder if they have it on YouTube or Tubi or something like that. I don't know. One kid, yeah, and their motor kept, yeah, they did the same scene over and over again. Yeah, and they'd all get going. And they had was it a cat? The rotten, the mean kids. Did they have a cat that kept getting into it with Snoopy? I can't remember. It was a long time ago since I've seen that movie, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. A long time ago. I liked Goofy movie better. It's one of Patrick's favorites. I've seen it numerous times, and I have a lot of it almost committed to memory. Yeah, Not Bigger Than Xavier, Cugat, The Momo King, Beat It, Doofus, Lester's Possum Park, kids duping you, and so yeah, and Lake Destiny, Idaho, and so yeah, no, I know the movie pretty much by heart. I know it a lot better than the Extreme Goofy movie, even though I know the Extreme Goofy movie fairly well too, because that was another one of Patrick's favorites. So it's and then doggy movies, Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians, yeah, okay. I'm hungry. I'm hungry, Father. I could eat a whole elephant, right? So, yeah, I misjudgment to my bunny bank in the backyard. So, yeah, I got those movies, I've watched them numerous times. They were some of Patrick's favorites, and the other kids were quite fond of them also, So, but with me and Patrick, there was a lot of, I want to watch this, so okay. I remember Suzanne, you have no life. You sit in here, she's waiting at half an hour to an hour before you get off work to drop him off with you. And sometimes she leaves before you even get here. I'm like, yeah. And, you have no life. You're here on the weekends. It's constantly Patrick in school. I was like, yeah. And Suzanne's like, you have no life. And I'm like, really? So sitting here on the exercise treadmill thing, going to school and watching Patrick grow is no life to you. I'm supposed to be waiting an hour before Steffi gets off work to drop Patrick off with her to go to the clubs and try to find some woman who listens to loud music and gets inebriated to have sex with. That's life to you. Wow, and you're going to law school? I didn't say that, but I would think it. I would sit there and go, did you hear what you just said? Okay. People say stuff like that to me all the time. And before, when I was younger, I would just kind of and try to explain to them, you do know what you're saying, and you do know when you say that, you're saying that, and Patrick is right here watching the doggy movie in front of you when you say that, and that when I'm here exercising and get off work and Patrick's waiting for here, that I have no life, right? And you're saying that right in front of Patrick, the 3-year-old watching 101 Dalmatians. I think, you're 3 years old. By the time I was 3 years old, I was able to explain to Spencer J. Kimball that it is wrong to kill Jesus to try to save guilty people from their crimes by eliminating the innocent. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that a 3-year-old, can comprehend things real well when other people are talking about him in the room. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other 3-year-olds aren't as astute or as intelligent as myself. Mom, I'm upset. Why? Well, because, we went to the store and I still haven't met Jay Silverhills or Clayton Moore. Well, they don't live in here, Earl. They live where they make the TV shows and stuff. And on the TV shows, it said, this before I could read. But, the TV stations were from El Paso, Texas. And my grandmother lived in El Paso, Texas. And we'd go to El Paso, and then we'd go to the store, and I would get upset. It's like, well, I still haven't met Clayton Moore and Jay Silverhills yet. That's before I corrected Spencer J. Kimball on being wrong about the pagan sacrifice of Jesus, right? So, I think kids are a lot of times way more intelligent than most people give them credit for. Right. I don't think I'm an anomaly. I don't think I'm I don't think I'm all by myself. When I was young, never needed anyone, and making love was just for fun. Those days are gone. They're gone. I'm Eartha Kitt. I love you too. I'll sing a song for you. I'm Eartha Kitt. Eddie, turn the lights on. You're gonna enjoy this. I'm an excellent dancer. On Boomerang. That was the first time I ever saw the first parts of that movie. I've never watched it. I saw the part with the feet. And then I saw later parts where, Halle Berry's, he gets shallow with Robin Gibbons and so forth. I've never sat through the whole entire movie. I did sit through the entire movie in A Vampire in Brooklyn because Earl always had this ginormous crush on Courtney Vance's wife, baby mama, always had this big crush on her. And I couldn't help myself. She's very, she is statuesque, and she's very charismatic. Okay. And her bone structure and everything to me is just wow, I had a lot of things about Alfred Woodard too, and I know a lot of you don't think that, but that's your prerogative, right? The bone structure that, Alfred Woodard has very exquisite bone structure in her lips, and, so I've always thought that about her too. And so on and so on, and Scooby Dooby Dooby, So, you get that about people like I told you, with Lola Falana and Mike Whalen, why you like Lonnie Anderson? Why you like Lola Falana? Why do you like Lonnie Anderson? You didn't answer my question. Yes, I did. And I'm not acting like a politician at all. I'm pointing out the blatantly obvious to you, and you're, for some reason, completely missing it. Right. Okay. It's just, what? It's very interesting to me. I've been this way since I was very young. And then when I talk to people, at first, I get my mother-in-law and my first wife a lot better now. He makes me feel stupid. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to make you feel stupid, Like I would go to school and come back home, or I'd be in the military and come back home, and I'd talk about something different that I saw from a different perspective that day. And then I'd get home and I'd want to share it with my wife, I experienced and saw something differently today that's very interesting, and I want to talk to about it. And then her thing was, you're trying to make me feel dumb. Yeah. Okay. I expanded my perspective to be more understanding and empathetic of other people's existence, so I wouldn't be rude or apathetic about things, And I wanted to come home and share it with my wife, And I was excited. And then her response was, "You're trying to make me feel stupid." And I was like, oh gosh, this is really hard. And then you get to that point where you're like, you don't like the clothes I wear on Sundays, and I can't be myself with you when I'm with you. I believe the Lord knows I'm unhappy because I can't be myself when I'm with you. And you get people constantly, no, just dummy up. Okay. And fit in, and then Jesus will take care of everything. And I'm like, I've been this way my whole life. Right. Then I went to Cochise County, and I started working at a grocery store where everybody came to challenge me because they said, okay, your life story is in these documents. Let's see how badass you really are. How smart are you? How perfect are you? How Job are you? How David are you? How Jesus are you? How are you? And I'm like, I get it. I understand. I've always known. He's told me. Well, then, if you guys are thinking this and you already know about me, well, let's live the Lord's Prayer now. Let's use the technology let's do it. Don't fuck around with it. It's empathetic and it's respectful. It's right. Let's do it. It's not time yet. Wrong answer. Okay. That's the wrong answer. Okay. When you understand something is fundamentally right, and you understand you're doing something fundamentally wrong, the time to start living fundamentally right is the moment you understand it's right, and what you're doing is wrong, right? So when you realize, you come up to a guy and say, your life story's in the book of Revelation. How do we avoid all this horrible stuff in the book of Revelation? Just live the Lord's Prayer now. It's not time yet. Okay. Why did you even come ask me, how do we avoid all the shitty stuff and the bad stuff from the story if you have no intention on not doing the shitty stuff and the bad stuff in the story? Why was this even, was this just for effect? Was it for melodrama? Was it the Game of Thorns and it's addicting and I just can't stop watching it? That's completely dysfunctional. Why did we even talk? Why did you even take me to Cochise County? Why did you even address me? Why did you, what were you thinking? You think you're thinking? You think you're thinking? Okay. Or you think they're thinking? You think they're thinking? Okay. And remember, if you offer your last cigarette to a crow and he pecks you, he's probably trying to quit. Okay. Understand your crow brothers, right? They're funny. Aim's back, right? Carl and I think it was Eric. Aim's back. Yeah. That were from the Crow Nation that played on the Nations. Yeah. I'll remember that. I was like, okay, Aim's back. Yeah. It's just I'll always remember that. What was the other games? Rufio, or I can't remember. The kid from Pittsburgh that was their best player. Okay. And he was a African man, but he had, like the kiddo that played at Montana State that was really good, that was either part, he was from Yakima, and I think he was part Chehalis. Okay. And I knew because he looked like Susie and Nathan Hogue. I looked at him and goes, okay, he looks a lot like the Hogues. He has the same facial features. Oh, that's interesting. Like I noticed, the other day when I was making a private video blog, I think it was when I was watching the football match between Japan and the goalie, had physical resemblances to Rui Hachimura. Oh wow, that's neat. It's a Japanese and an African parent, and the facial similarities are similar. That's neat. That's neat to see. That's neat. So you see how the two becoming one and having children. How the children look, and it was something that was consistent. There were similarities. I was like, wow, that's cool. Okay, isn't that cool? I like that. You can see, okay, you're part Japanese. I see that. I see that in your facial features. This is the second person that I've seen that's for. Okay, Sachiko? No, she did not look. No, Sachiko didn't look anything like Rui Hachimura and the goalie guy. Okay, she was wow, God, that was she was one of the most pretty little cute girls I've ever seen. Sachiko was Japanese and black also. Sachiko. Yeah, and she was, oh my gosh, yeah. Wow, I was a good-looking girl. Okay. The one that came in and asked me, Earl, are you gay? Okay. Because you're the only straight guy that works at this call center that's never come to the strip club to see me dance, right? Everybody else has been there multiple times. And it was a multi-layered answer that I gave her. I said, first of all, Sachiko, you can't get a 7-year-old into a strip club. And besides, why would I want to go frustrate myself by seeing someone like you naked consistently and be denied? That's just insane to me. I just could not do it. Okay. Once you're one of the most pretty girls I've ever seen, and if I saw you naked, that would make me want to see more, and I just would not do that to myself. I love you too much to ever start liking you. So don't expect me to be your friend. Besides, you're dating Jamar Miller, and I can't compete with his bank account, right? I was very pragmatic. She was like, oh my gosh, this guy. I see why so many other girls have a crush on him, right? People tell me that you really know the right thing to say. Like with Gabby, the one girl from El Paso that Patrick wanted me to date and marry. And she kept talking to me about things and possibilities, and she was filling out. And I said, if you want security through money, I would date the really cute, the nice, you're a, well, he wasn't an engineer, he's an architect or something like that. He's a Mexican guy who's really nice, but she wasn't sure she wanted to settle down with him, like a lot of girls that happened with me. And the thing is, like, why can't he be you? It's like, he doesn't listen the same way you do. He doesn't understand me the same way you do. He's not my friend the way that you are my friend. And I really want to have a relationship with a man, okay, that is intimate and sexual and raising kids the way I have a relationship with you. That's what Gabby kind of said. And I said, yeah, but if you end up with me, I could be the white shadow at South Mountain High School the rest of my life. And then, like I told Law, I said, I'll work hard to be as successful as I can, but if I have to step on other people's toes and do things uncouth, if you want the Mercedes, you're probably going to have to marry somebody else, because all I'll probably ever be able to afford is maybe the Maxima, right? And so, you'll be living in a world where roses hardly ever grow. Because all I have to offer you is me. There'll be no mansions waiting on the hill with crystal chandeliers, and there'll be no fancy clothes for you to wear. I talked like Amy, you talk yourself out of more pussy. No, I just talked us out of a lifetime of heartache. Because I knew right away what they needed to be comfortable or feel happy. And I also knew on a subconscious level. It wasn't even a subconscious level, it was a conscious level. That's scary, Jesus. I don't. It's stupid for nuclear warfare and all that. It is stupid, Earl. But you're going to be the man that helps me stop it. I'm only 8 years old, Jesus. You're not going to be 8 years old forever. Okay? Round like a circle and a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel. Okay? When I married, he told me I had to marry Steffi. He told me I had to marry Amy. Okay? That I had to go to places to help protect people that were being abused by the people that gave us nuclear warfare and threats of nuclear warfare. Oh, if you don't give me the deed to your ranch, I'll blow you all to bits. And he led to the fuse to the dynamite. And when he told me, I didn't want to do it. I did not want to marry Steffi, and I did not want to marry Amy, But Jesus and Adam and Eve told me, you have to. It's very important that you do. And when I was going to move out and get a divorce from Amy and end up with Noah and Patrick and her take Natty, I was taking a shower, and Jesus came and told me in the shower, no, it's very important that you stay because of Natalie. And my sister's still mad at me to this day because I did that. Okay. And, I said I can't. If Jesus told me I have to stay because it's important to be in Natalie's life, and then when I went to Cochise County and Sierra Vista, and we came back here and all the things we had to deal with, when I was in that bedroom before I had to go back to Sierra Vista in 2008, I said, I don't want to do this. And basically, you have to. You're the only one who can. Really, yeah. You're the only man who can navigate through this and help protect children and women and men from being trapped in this kind of bad brain activity and this manipulation. You have the best control of yourself than any other person on the planet. I'm like, wow. It's basically what he kind of told me. And then when I came back here, and now up to this day, I understand exactly what Jesus was talking about in my noggin. and did Zero Suzuki, survive, stop, eliminate, recover, an idiot looks for any excuse to get drunk, so, help them not be an idiot, and Sun Yat-sen, they're acting like dogs, Parsons, does that make you a dog? Teach them to be men, this is, the fuck for the buck stops here, and you not can do this, you are doing this. It's real, and it's really happening, and it's happening through you because you're the guy who's capable of doing it, and you're just like, wow. And it's radically different than coaching the Super Bowl or winning an Academy Award or inventing the polio vaccine or winning a Nobel Prize. This is radically different. This is something that has been talked about for hundreds and thousands of years that needs to happen to save human beings from human selfishness so we can live meaningful, faithful, loving, truthful lives. And so it's radically different. And so when you understand it, you're just like, okay. So, a lot of people, surprises. It's like, now I understand, I was looking at my numbers on my YouTube and stuff and go, that radically changes anytime soon. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like, okay, good, this is happening. It needs to. What are you going to do? I think I'm going to rest, and then I'll just remain in a restful state of being, doing exercises, breathing fresh air, drinking clean water, eating healthy food, and very good shelter, not made by economic delusions, but made by a community that loves you and eternally passes it on, right? And so I know what I have to do, and I know it's not just our Lord Jesus that is working through me for the commands that he gave us at Calvary for us to all live the perfection of faithful people eternally. Okay? It's wrong to make it an exclusionary thing. I am the light, I am the way, none is the fire of a truthful, eternal Father except done through me. Okay, he didn't say, okay, is Confucius a truthful, eternal Father? Okay, is the swordsman of Japan a faithful truth? Is Cochise, is Tishna the protector of the abused children and an eternal, faithful Father? Right? It's fun. We're all going to have fun because nobody's going to get abused, right? So, he's an eternal, faithful Father, right? But you run like a duck, right? But it's all part of the gift of life, right? So why doesn't he get a B? Guelica. Say it again. Come on, let the people know you care, right? Right? Is that the kids from Alchese playing against the kids from Alchese? Harder. Okay, let them know. Okay, Alchese. Okay, is that the kids from Alchese playing against the kids from Window Rock? Okay. I like basketball too. It's fun, isn't it? Don't hurt anybody. Money's not real. You don't need to pay people to live here. Okay. Everybody, I walk in beauty. Okay. I love you guys very much. Let's load this one up. We'll talk tomorrow. Be good. And we don't need any more of this 70-year-old predator. There's no AD. He was recorded. Forgive debt and trespass. Love one eternal faithful peace. Okay. Don't sensationalize things that are happening that will happen a lot less when we're living the perfection of the applied physics of a perfect Father and honoring the love of life through a perfect mother. Okay, guys? Okay. I don't need your photograph to keep by my bed. Okay, guys? I love you very much. All right, peace out.